You're watching Detroit on Deck. Here are your hosts, Dave Cesefske and Josh Clark.
Let's get to the big time news because, listen, our coordinators are being interviewed as we speak, right? All over the league.
Yeah.
They're hot commodities, and that's not a shot at Aaron Glenn, but I think the Lions, and I know you agree with me here, we can afford to lose him. We'll make changes. Ben Johnson is somebody that I am concerned about losing.
Yeah.
What about you?
Yeah, Ben Johnson obviously is the one person that we can't lose. In my opinion, I think he's the glue piece to the offense. But a lot of people also don't realize though that Ben Johnson was in Detroit before Dan Campbell and had literally no success. So
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying. So
But he wasn't an OC.
No, that's correct. That's correct. But just still being on the offensive side of the ball, you know what I'm saying. So I think it'd be a huge blow. I do think there's some suitable replacements out there if it does come down to him leaving and it coming to that for the Lions. But yeah, I think if he is the one to leave out of the two, I think that it's a massive loss for that offense. And I honestly think it's a probably 2 to 3 game, differential.
Let's talk about best fits for both of these guys, okay? And we'll start with Aaron Glenn. Clark, I think I know, and here's the fun thing about this is we have different opinions, but I think we can agree with Aaron Glenn. It's pretty black and white. It's either going to be the Jets or it's going to be the Saints, and that's because he played for both of them. I personally think it's going to be the Saints. I've heard rumors of Mike McCarthy might be going there too, though. Which, say what you want. Recycling these coaches. Aaron Glenn played there. He was coaching there with Dan Campbell when Dan Campbell was an assistant coach under Sean Payton. I think it'll be one of those two teams for Aaron Glenn. Where do you got Aaron Glenn going, and where do you think it would be the best fit? Now, I will say this. The Saints do not have a lot of pieces on defense, right? The Jets, they got some pieces to work with, right? Sauce Gardner is not that bad, right?
Yeah, Sauce Gardner, Quinnen Williams.
Right. So
DJ Reader.
But you got to deal with, if Aaron Rodgers is coming back there, that whole thing, because Aaron Rodgers can play quarterback still. No one's saying he can't. His numbers were really good this year, actually.
Right.
But it's the sideshow that comes with it. We all know Rex Ryan ain't getting that job. Where do you see Aaron Glenn going, Josh, and where do you think would be the best fit? And maybe those are the same answer.
For me, it's the same exact answer, and you nailed it right on the head. It's the Saints. And I don't think it's close, honestly. This is a rebuilding process there in New Orleans.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, 7 to 9 wins could win you the division, as we've seen this year. You know what I mean?
Correct.
So it kind of gives him a little bit of wiggle room, I would, suppose, in terms of building that team up. So I could see them, kind of struggling the first year or two, and then year 3 kind of putting it all together and winning a division title there. Especially, like I said, with how weak that division is. By that time, 2-3 years down the road, you know what I mean? Godwin's probably going to be gone and retired. Evans is probably going to be gone and retired. Right. So the Bucs are going to take a big step back there. Kirk Cousins is going to be out of there. You know what I mean? And Penix has already taken over there. You know what I'm saying? So Derek Carr is probably going to be retired or elsewhere. So, I mean, a lot of the competition is going to be out of that division. So if he wants a job where I believe there's some flexibility for him to struggle early on and then kind of bring the team up over the years as he builds it up, I think the Saints is the most likely and logical choice for him.
Yeah, I actually, and like I said, I'm with you with that 100%. My only frustration with NFL teams nowadays is I don't actually think they're patient enough with some of these coaches.
I agree.
Gerard Mayo, if we're going to be honest, man, that came off really, really sketchy because it was like, okay, it's Robert Kraft knew Mike Vrabel was open. He said, well, it felt like Gerard Mayo was holding that warm, until Vrabel was ready to come there. He did him wrong.
Like, oh no, I 100% agree. Like, we talk about coaches all the time, and I believe we touched on this last year. And I 100% said like Mike Vrabel is the only logical choice to go there. So for me, what it feels like is Gerard Mayo was told like, oh hey, we're going to give you this position. You know what I mean? Robert Kraft handpicked him, mind you, to be the successor.
Yeah.
So I feel like it kind of just fell apart, and I feel like Vrabel kind of has the keys to run the kingdom now. Honestly, I mean,
He really does.
Gerard Mayo in that front office went out, got a quarterback. So Vrabel's already got that in place for the
A
draft this year.
great quarterback too.
Don't have to worry about that in the draft this year. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? They went and got a number one cornerback, if he can stay healthy, and Christian Gonzalez
Mm-hmm. He's a
out of,
stud.
out of Oregon. Like, so they have pieces in place, that
Right.
they brought in on Gerard Mayo's watch, and now Vrabel just kind of has this year to kind of put the pieces together and see where it goes from there.
Well, with the Patriots taking Mike Vrabel, obviously they're not going the Ben Johnson route. But let's put some teams out there, okay? So Jacksonville interviewed Ben Johnson on Saturday. Jacksonville, let's look at all these options, and then we'll give our answer for the best team for Ben Johnson, because that's one of those that I know we all have our answer already, right? Yeah. But let's have some fun here and play a game with me. Jacksonville Jaguars, okay? Say Ben Johnson takes that job. In my opinion, Josh, and I know this is not very popular, but I don't think Trevor Lawrence is the guy. I really don't, because I think we've seen a lot of him. And yes, it's been inconsistent with who they have there helping him out. Doug Peterson wasn't a guy, right? He wasn't a guy, and they found that out pretty quickly. But they stayed with him for a little bit of time because of what he was able to do with the Eagles, right? And win a Super Bowl there, it's going to get you some time. However, it didn't work out. And, yeah, Lawrence has had some injuries. They haven't exactly had incredible receivers. I mean, right. Christian Kirk is Christian Kirk. They had Ridley for 1 year. Yeah. So I'll give him the benefit of the doubt with the weapon issue. The running back should be better. But, Ben Johnson's got to go somewhere where there's a quarterback, I believe, that he can build around. And I don't know if you can do that still with T-Law.
Well, for me, it's not that T-Law's a bad quarterback. I feel like it's the type of quarterback that he is. He's not a pocket passer. Like, he's more of the read option scramble. Then he'll check down. Yeah. Then he'll throw it if need be. You know what I mean? And that just doesn't work in Ben Johnson's system.
Right. No, I'm with you. And let's go on to the next team, because we can both agree it's not going to be the Jaguars. Las Vegas Raiders. I mean, listen, man, that's a team that, if you look at management there, outside of the dude's bad haircut, Mark Davis, I mean, if you've never seen that guy,
oh yeah,
it is the worst haircut I have ever seen, and he's a billionaire.
He looks like. You ever seen the Little Rascals?
Oh, of course. Yeah.
He reminds me of the Froggy guy.
I mean, haircut. He looks like if you put a bowl on his head.
Yeah.
And that's how you cut it. And he's got this 20-year-old girlfriend walking around with him. It's hilarious. But anyways, that's Aiden O'Connell obviously isn't the quarterback there. We know that, right? Gardner Minshew is not the guy. He won't be back. They are a team, in my opinion, that I would stay far away from, because, yeah, they're going to get a high draft pick, but that's not going to fix all the holes on this team, man. They don't have any wide receivers other than Jacoby Myers, and he was pretty good last year. But outside of that, I mean, you got guys.
Trey Tucker was solid,
but I mean, he didn't even have 30 catches. You know what I mean? Like, he had moments. Right. I'll give you that. He had moments. And they don't even know who's playing, running back there. Yeah, right. There was some, good moments for players there, but that was a team that, I mean, they're not good. Let's not mince words at all. I would stay the heck away from the Raiders, because that's where you go and your career goes down the tubes.
I agree 100%. I mean, if you look at the way Ben Johnson's offense is run, I mean, you need a tight end, which they have in place there. You need a quarterback. You need one or two, good to great running backs like the Lions have. And then you obviously need that number one, number two, and potentially number three wide receiver, to kind of make this thing work. And the Raiders just don't have that.
So here's one that is just hilarious. Okay, because Jerry Jones has been saying for months, we're going to bring Mike McCarthy back. I believe Mike McCarthy said, you want to keep me? Give me $20 million a year or something. He priced his way out because he didn't want to stay there.
Right.
But he didn't get fired. His contract ran out, right? Mike McCarthy has his eyes on a different prize. He's going to go somewhere else. And listen, say what you want. They tried to make him out to be a laughing stock, and maybe he's not an elite coach, but Mike McCarthy is one in this league. So Dallas, They don't get him. And by doing that, by this happening now, Adam Schefter came out and said that the Dallas Cowboys have to wait till the Lions season is over before they can interview any of their coordinators. And right like that, you're not in the running. You're not going to bring him in because – and I wouldn't personally take that job anyways because you got an aging quarterback who's injury riddled all the time. Yeah, you got a top 3 receiver in CD, but you got a lot of question marks and a lot of people that don't really necessarily want to play football there. Looking at you, Micah Parsons, he doesn't show up all the time, and he doesn't want to be there. Now, would I love him on the Lions? Yes, of course, because you got to buy in. But it's been kind of a sideshow there as well, and he will not be going to the Cowboys. Do you agree?
I do agree just because the Lions have to be eliminated before the interviewing process thing. But if they were already eliminated, I could see that probably being potentially the top of the list, if I'm being honest.
Because of cash. Jerry will pay him.
Well, one, because of cash.
CD.
2, you have CD Lamb, who, obviously you're Amon in this situation.
Yeah.
Jake Ferguson is probably top 6, top 7 tight end. So he's not, him and Laporte are kind of right there in that 5 to 7 range, 4 to 7 range, whatever. You know what I mean? So that's pretty close there.
I don't even mind Schoonmaker.
Exactly.
What I mean?
Luke Schoonmaker, University of Michigan. Then you have that first round pick. And if I'm looking at all these mock drafts, what are they missing?
A quarterback.
No, outside of quarterback. What are they missing?
Well, Genty.
Exactly, and Genty has been projected.
He wants to be a Cowboy.
He's been projected to go to the Cowboys, and I believe it's 14 or 15 that they have, or 13, something like that.
Yep.
And if that happens, and you can put Genty with Ferguson and Lamb and Brandon Cooks, who has looked decent. Turpin came on late in the year. Like there's pieces there to potentially run a Ben Johnson type of offense. So, it's not out of the realm of possibility, but I do think they're eliminated just because of the Lions' deep playoff run, and I think the interview processes, for Ben will potentially be over by then.
Yeah, and now we have the Bears. For me, I don't know who you got, but for me, this is the perfect match because Caleb Williams, young stud at quarterback, they've got good receivers. Rome Odunze is going to be a top 10 receiver next year. I believe that. They've got some aging vets. Keenan Allen, looking at him, still balled out when he got the opportunity. They've got DJ Moore, who is a good receiver. They've got Cole Kmet, who is a top 10 tight end. They've got a lot of pieces. Yeah, do they need a better defense? You bet. But all he does is he brings in somebody there to run the defense. Ben Johnson could do the offense himself. There is a reason why I think it's a little bit weird, though, and I'm not sold that he's taking the job. I think it's the best job for him. And that is because when Chicago interviewed him, listen to this, Josh. This was out there a couple days ago. The Bears want Ben Johnson to offer them a leadership plan while other candidates are being asked to present a QB plan. So they don't trust that Ben Johnson can be a head coach. Based off of that, in my opinion, that's what I'm reading into it.
Right.
Most guys that come in there, they're like, how are you going to use Caleb? They're not doing that. They want to know how he's going to lead because this big figure in Detroit is Motor City Dan Campbell, right? And everybody thinks, oh, well, it's just all Dan Campbell. Love Dan Campbell. But these coordinators have done a heck of a job. And now I will say this. Ben Johnson, Josh, has not dealt with the injuries like Glenn has. He has not. However, he has, one of their running backs is out, and they've had issues with one of their wide receivers with the NFL trying to suspend him every other game, it feels like, and J-Mo. I still believe that this is going to be the best fit. That's my opinion. What about you?
I understand why you say that. I mean, they have pieces. They have pieces in place. Obviously the quarterback's in place, and Caleb on a rookie contract, so allows you to build the team up a little bit there. My two concerns with that offense though is they don't have an Amon-Ra on that offense. Now you're going to say, oh well, DJ Moore. Well, DJ Moore, the down the field threat. Amon-Ra works the middle of the field.
Keenan Allen could be that guy,
but we don't
still be the guy.
We don't know if he's going to be there or not though. He's a free agent after this year.
Well, yeah, but he said he'd only play for the Chargers or Chicago. He came out and said that.
It was Rams, Chargers, or the Bears is what he said. But
maybe the Chargers
no,
want him back. I don't know.
no, but I get what you're saying. Though I'm just basing it off of what they currently have under contract for next year because we don't know.
Fair enough, but Rome is a good player, and Rome
So
could take a step.
Rome is a good player, but he's also a down the field threat. He's not a middle of the field type of guy.
I still believe though. I still
But-
believe that these guys could do. I mean,
But I do love everything else that they have in place outside the running back. Obviously, Swift is not Jahmyr Gibbs, and Roshan Johnson is not David Montgomery. You know what I'm saying? I do like Cole Kmet there. I do like that, but to me, it's a wish version of the Detroit Lions offense. With what
of course. I mean, it's a team that fired their coach, right? Like they're not
Correct.
built up all the way.
Correct. Now, the team that I'm going to say, it makes sense in my opinion, but then again, it makes no sense at all. I really personally believe that the best fit for Ben Johnson is the New York Jets.
Ooh, man, that's interesting.
I really do think it's the New York Jets. One, so with the two main things, in my opinion, that makes the Lions offense go is what? It's the running backs, and it's the number one receiver.
Correct.
Brees Hall, Jahmyr Gibbs. Obviously, I'm going to take Jahmyr Gibbs. But Brees is also shifty. He's a home run threat, just the same way that Jahmyr is. Garrett Wilson, he can do both. He can go down the field in your JMO row, or he can live in the middle of the field like Amon-Ra St.
Are
Brown.
you keeping Aaron Rodgers in this scenario?
Depends on how the draft plays out and what they get in the draft, but I wouldn't mind Rodgers on a one-year deal just because he is the Jared Goff type of quarterback. He's a pocket passer, which is what makes that offense go.
Okay.
And if that allows you to build that team up around that offense for one more year, then I don't think it's a bad choice.
Okay, let me play with this a little bit. Okay, ready? But let
me say
ahead.
one more thing real quick. So the one thing that they are missing, though, I will say, like I love Tyler Conklin. I think he's a serviceable tight end, but they need a tight end. So obviously, I'm targeting probably Tyler Warren, Colston Loveland here to join that offense.
Okay, so looking at a mock draft here. Okay, first one I pulled up for CBS Sports. Number 6 is Shedeur Sanders to the Raiders. Number 7 is the Jets, and they have them taking Calvin Banks, an offensive tackle from Texas.
Yep.
So, they need
which they need
help there, of course. You can still, in my opinion, and I don't know how you feel about it, I still believe you could get a quarterback in the second round that could be a good quarterback. I mean,
no, yeah, 100%. You can get a Jackson Dart, which I would love.
Quinn Ewers, if he comes out.
Yeah, a Quinn Ewers type. No, 100%. I agree.
But I don't hate that. And then you let them sit while Roger, because Roger said he would tutor a young quarterback. He said he'd do it. And Josh, you know what, man? Everybody griping in New York about what he did. Do you know his numbers are actually similar to Josh Allen's?
Yeah. A lot of quarterbacks are. Josh Allen gets the love because of his rushing totals.
Yeah, Rodgers had 28 touchdown passes. Allen?
No.
28 touchdown passes. Right? So, and I believe it was like 12 picks or 10 picks or something like that. It might even have been less. Actually, it was 8. So he had a good year. It's just everybody gripes about him.
Oh, yeah, 100% agree. So that's personally what I would do. I didn't realize they had the 7th pick. I should have known that because they were terrible this year. But I would trade down, obviously, and I would target one of those tight ends to kind of complete that offense outside of your quarterback, for future years. And then potentially, I would, I mean, they have Jordan Travis there too. Jordan Travis was no scrub at Florida State. Maybe even give him a look. You know what I'm saying? To kind of see if you have something there, and then if not, 2026 draft, you potentially get your future quarterback.
Well, if Aaron Rodgers decides to not come back,
yeah,
they're in a little bit of a situation there,
well,
right?
Here, these are the free agent quarterbacks that I was kind of looking at before.
Brock Purdy's not signed, is he?
Well, according to this list, he's not a free agent, so I think he might be. But so the top
might be in his contract year.
So the top free agents right now, the best one out there is Sam Darnold,
which I think that is a heck of a quarterback option.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's the number one. Then you have a steep drop off to the likes of Zach Wilson, Jacoby Brissett, Taylor Heineke, Marcus Mariota, Jared Stidham, Drew Lock, Andy Dalton, Justin Fields, who I really like,
Teddy Bridgewater,
Jameis Winston for a year or two. I'm not against. He's a pocket passer.
Jameis Winston doesn't get enough love.
No,
I don't
agree.
care what
he
people say.
He turns the ball over like crazy, but that dude's gonna throw 5,000.
Yeah, but if somebody invested in him, if somebody invested in the guy, he's just thrown around.
Yeah, but then you obviously have your afterthoughts like Mac Jones, Carson Wentz, Garoppolo, Case Keenum, Mason Rudolph, Easton Stick, Cooper Rush, who not bad. He wasn't bad for the Cowboys this year.
Central Michigan.
Yep, and then obviously your Russell Wilson.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Those are your top free agents. So I mean,
wouldn't that be a jet move though to bring in Russell Wilson?
To bring him in for sure. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of a lackluster free agency quarterback class unless you bring in like a
Justin Fields though. Why not give him a shot?
No, for sure. For sure. So, I mean, I just like the pieces that they have there all around. Like you mentioned for Aaron Glenn when you were talking about the Jets, they have Sauce Gardner on defense. They have DJ Reed on defense. They have Quentin Williams on defense. Like they have some pieces in place all together on the defensive side of the ball and on that offensive side of the ball. So, I mean, this could be a potential, draft and free agency type year that could put them over the hump. And you get an offensive genius in there like a Ben Johnson. I mean, Brees Hall could take an all-pro step. Garrett Wilson could take an all-pro type of step. So it's not out of the realm of possibility, I don't think.
Thanks for listening to Detroit on Deck. Be sure to like and subscribe to our page for more Detroit content.